Still wish there was a bigger light on this. Welcome to Lifestyles of the Strange and Exotic, Star Trek Book Review, Phase 3, with my co-host Phil and Seymour. Today we shall be reviewing the USS Enterprise Officer's Manual. I absolutely have no clue where this thing came from. I kind of think it came from like a tag sale or some obscure place like that. Mainly because I don't recall seeing books with the, stop with the ums. The binding, this kind of binding here. And this is very much fan fiction. Or at least it has that feel to it. And this is a little different than other book, well, I'll consider it a book anyways, of this particular type. Thought crashed. This is set up like the tech manual and very official. Except, you know, all those things would be digital by the 23rd century, you know. Classified. OM 1701 CEC, bunch of letters that make no sense. Constitution class 1701. Let's see. Trying to find where the information is. 2265 Starfleet publications, and I like the fact that Da Vinci's man is an actual Andorian. Classified. This manual is for the eyes of Starfleet officers of lieutenant grade or above only. It is intended to familiarize new personnel with the critical components and general routine of Constitution-class starships, and should not supplant other manuals providing more detailed information on starship operation. Refer all questions to Starfleet Chief of Operations, Starfleet Command, San Francisco, California. Now, like the other one that I have that's similar to this, that actually kind of touches more on the movies, too. This is strictly TOS. So, this is kind of cool. And this is written by Jeffrey Mandel, illustrated by Doug Drexler and Jeffrey Mandel, assisted by other people. Technical advisor, Christopher R. Pike, Captain, USSC FS, retired. And this was from 1980. And I can't quite find any publishing information unless they self-published this. And then you have the, well, no, I lied, because the intro is from Admiral James T. Kirk, and he didn't become Admiral until the movies. See, on behalf of Starfleet Command, I would like to welcome you aboard the Enterprise and congratulate you on your assignment to a starship that has proven itself to be one of the finest in the fleet. I would also like to say that since its commission almost half a century ago, the exploits of the Enterprise have become legendary. Once you make the grade, you can look forward to an exciting tour of duty on the very frontier of our galaxy. Your job is one of scientist, observer, ambassador, arbiter, policeman, and if you believe that any one of these professions is worthwhile, you will find the combination of all of them to be an experience unique in this or any other galaxy. And, of course, there's more to it, but I paraphrased. It goes into a brief history of Starfleet by Professor John Gill. Episode, Patterns of Force. Orders to Lieutenant Commander James Kirk. Stardate 1310.6. The Promotions Review Board has considered your heroic actions of Stardate 1310.4 aboard the USS Alexander, and effective this stardate, you are advanced to the rank of Captain. So some of this stuff isn't actually canon. Again, this is mostly fan fiction. Because some of these things I'm like, I don't think ever actually made it on screen. And it basically tells Kirk, okay, this is your ship, this is your crew, go enjoy yourself. One of the cool things here are the general orders you hear every now and again in an episode. Of course, General Order Number 1, the Prime Directive. When contacting a planet, making normal progress toward a technological civilization, an officer of Starfleet shall make no identification of self or mission, no interference with the social development of said planet, and no references to space, other worlds, or more advanced civilizations. See, I'm not quite sure, like, if I was part of that kind of society and somebody starts telling me those twinkly dots there are actually suns with other people around them, how would that, like, hinder the progression of your world? Wouldn't you just go, you nuts? You know? Gronk here in the cave thinks, I don't think so. You know, I just don't understand quite the issue, you know? It's not like you've actually beamed them up, gave them a tour, and spit them back out. I mean, if you're on the world and you're like, we're from another world, I'd be like, yeah, but I think it's all in your head, you know? Just, I don't know, I suppose it depends how you look at it. See, General Order Number 7 is no Federation vessel under any conditions, emergency or otherwise, is to be permitted to visit Talos 4. To do so carries a mandatory death penalty. General Order 13, an obscure one. As long as he wears the uniform of Starfleet, an officer shall not provide aid or information to, nor otherwise assist, the enemies of the United Federation, or any beings or group, or of beings potentially dangerous to the security of the United Federation, its member planets, or its agents. General Order 24. The destruction of all intelligent life on a planet's surface is permissible only in cases of gross violation of General Order Number 1 by inhabitants of said planet, and such action may be ordered only by a command officer of captain grade or higher. Said officer assumes sole responsibility for this order, and any misuse of General Order 24 incurs equal culpability as a violation of General Order 21. I don't quite understand that general order. I mean, they're given permission to waste a planet. This is Starfleet. How is that even, I mean, heaven forbid if you visit Talos 4, but sure, blow up a planet, who gives a rat's ass, you know? It's like, it's permissible only in cases of gross violation of General Order Number 1. So basically, if you go down to a planet, and these people actually believe you're from outer space, and adjust accordingly, I suppose, you have the permission to wipe them out because you screwed up. I don't quite understand the wording of this particular general order. It is actually touched upon in a book. I think it's called Prime Directive, not one of my favorites. And you have a section of personnel, familiarization with the ship, ship recognition, intelligence, planetary, historical, the Talos 4 report, and a few revisions. Now it goes through the list in their codes, but their identification numbers of, you know, Kirk and Decker. So this basically does hit on the first movie. Rahada. DeFalco, okay. Emrys is in here, who was in the animated series. And you have a bio of Kirk and his history. Now, none of this is canon, or maybe pieces of it might be canon. 36, Terran, date of birth, and of course it uses Shatner's and Nimoy's date of birth. And it gives it the history. Of course, we know he was on the Farragut under Captain Garvik. That is canon. Now this one. Kirk has a deep-seated bordering on the neurotic attachment to duty and his vessel, a factor which has contributed substantially to his authority quotient of 97+. and his consistently excellent surface record. His chief psychological problem is the expression of normal human emotions, which he finds almost impossible due to the barrier he has constructed between himself and his crew. Not quite sure about that. This actually does stick to the canon. The next one is the one that's kind of, a little more loony. So yeah, this, other than Spock here, whose real name is Ztimpersizintvlet. You know, the guy's just typed random letters on it. So yeah, some of these aren't exactly canon. Most of this was. You got Leonard McCoy. I don't remember in any episode if they actually specified his middle name was Horatio, but it is Leonard H. McCoy. Montgomery Edward Scott, I don't know. Like I said, some of these things are a bit more confusing, and why we have Scotty twice here. They repeated a page, so there's a bit of a boo-boo in the book. Unless Scotty has a twin, I don't know. Now again, this is not right. Uhura's, I believe, official first name is Nyota. I think that is now canon. Here they call her Upenda. I don't know if this is a word in Swahili or not, because Nyota, I believe, is star. And Uhura is a feminized version of Uhuru, which means freedom. So, yeah, this was pre-deciding on her first name. So this is definitely not canon. But it does go into some nice detail, and you even have the police record of Harcourt Fenton Mudd. I like Harry Mudd. And again, very similar to the Star Trek Tech Manual, so you'd find a bit more detail as far as these type of things are concerned. I still find that funny. But some of these are kind of, you know, ideas of what could have been, you know. The Aqua Shuttle was in the animated series. I believe a few books have the planetary classifications. A Class A planet is tenuous and may not be present, which the surface may not be tenuous. The atmosphere, reducing methane. Description, radiates heat or a failed star, and an example would be Jupiter. We are a Class M planet because we're silicate water, we're oxidizing, we're geologically active, and life forms are more than just humanoid. Kind of an interesting little National Geographic type thing on Vulcan here. The Talus Report. Pictures of the Telosians. They actually go in fairly good depth of this. Top secret, for eyes of Starfleet Command only. So I can't show you. An idea for the Enterprise, which they scrapped, I guess. I don't think this was an actual idea for the Enterprise. The original idea actually, I think, became the Daedalus, which basically was like a stick with a ball on the end of it. But definitely, you can find pieces of this in better put together books. But this is kind of nifty as far as, you know, the details of the crew members, and, you know, it's good fan fiction. You know, just a very interesting put together book, a very interesting looking book. I have absolutely no idea where it came from. Any information I can't find on the publisher. But it did come from Doug Drexler, who has a main part in Trekdom itself. So, a little digging. You might find this on Amazon, you might not. I don't know. I have no memory where this came from whatsoever. But kind of glad that I found it and picked it up. I don't even have an idea of what I could have paid for this. It's been around quite some time. Thank you for watching. Do comment down below if you've read these books or any others in these series. Do check out my info box below for, would you believe, info? And subscribe. There's always room for one more at the Strange and Exotic. Read long and prosper. How to do that with my left hand?